I remember going over once and you had told me you were thinking about doing this, but you hadn't told me that you actually did it. But I went over and her TV room was her dining room and her dining room was her TV room. And I was just sort of wait, how did this happen?
Oh my God.
I don't even think there were movers involved. I think Amy did it herself.
Welcome to Talk Shop. I'm Ariel Okin, a New York-based interior designer, writer, and editor, looking to bring a little bit of magic into our homes every day. After years as a writer and editor in the interiors world, I founded my own editorial site, Fenimore Lane, in 2020, and the Talk Shop interview series was born. Each week, I delve into the personal experiences of the top interior designers and tastemakers around the globe. This week, we welcome two lifelong friends who came together over their shared love for design. Todd, Nickey, and Amy Kehoe first met in New York City at a dinner party, which turned into a multi-decade partnership that produced an 8100 design firm and two iconic home stores across the country. Before they moved to LA, Todd was a retail designer for stores like Donna, Karan, and Badgley, Mischka, and Amy was working in hospitality design at Starwood. In 2004, the two came together to launch their design firm, Nickey Kehoe. And then 4 years later, they launched their namesake collection and retail store. The storefront allowed them to showcase their vintage finds, private label products, and a selection of hand-picked goods from around the world, which they continue to do today. Now, more than 20 years later, the brand has grown into larger retail spaces in LA and expanded its e-commerce business, with Amy leading the design side and Todd focusing on their retail business. As they say, their collection is designed to live far beyond just one lifetime. So please join me as we welcome two friends whose story is incredibly inspiring, Todd and Amy. Todd and Amy, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited to have you both on today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're so excited to be here.
I personally am very huge and longtime fans of yours, so I'm slightly fangirling a little bit to have you on, and I'm so happy. To kick off the conversation, we ask everyone who comes on, can each of you describe your style in 3 words or less?
Oh dear. Does Todd have to go first, I heard?
I'm happy to go first. I would say rustic, messy, and a little bit of schmance.
Yeah, that tracks.
I love that.
Yeah, if I'd been more prepared, I think I could have probably done Todd more easily than myself. It's that I feel super convicted about his curation and his eye, but then when it comes, I think Todd feels the same way. It's hard to do yourself. But for me, a little classic with a twist, maybe.
Yes.
Well, that kind of gets you there in 3 words, basically.
Yes, thank you. Classic with a twist allows for just about anything that I or Todd fall in love with to have a place in our own homes. I think the older we both get, the more you appreciate in a way. So yeah.
No, I love that. And also I think when looking at your work, it is so classic and it has this thread, and also your stores, you guys carry such amazing items that are so unique and have really interesting patina and provenance. So I feel like the classic with a twist kind of is all encompassing for all of it. And for those who may not know, can you please tell us a little bit about yourselves and where you are at this point in your careers?
I grew up in the Midwest outside of Chicago, and I won't go too far back. But Todd and I met in New York, very, very early, probably 2000, the year 2000 we met. And then moved out to LA a few years later and have now called LA home for over 20 years.
It's amazing. And I love the story of how you guys met. You guys met at a dinner party, right?
Yes.
We did.
It's amazing. It's so cool. And it's so cool that you guys have been working together for that long. I mean, you guys must be telepathic.
We really are. There are so many times in a meeting or whatever with a group of people, and we will say or choose or whatever exactly the same thing, at the same time. It's really crazy. And it's funny you say that too. I just started listening to the telepathy tapes.
That is so interesting, that whole series.
Yeah.
But it's interesting also because I find, with work in particular, I think it's so important when you have a partner that you do have that ability to read each other. And I think that kind of comes over time, but it has to be there like at the outset. So it's interesting that that was kind of there from the beginning for you guys, because it seems like you sparked and then you started working together pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very instantaneous. And, I often feel like, and I think this is my own private dialogue, though maybe I utter it sometimes, but it's like, I don't know where I start and Amy stops. Like, I literally
That's amazing though.
No, but in sort of because now I'm working a little more in the shop and in product development, and Amy's doing more design. But I think both of us really think through the filters of the other as much as we think through ourselves.
Which is so important.
It is, but it's so easy. And it's really it's the special sauce. But I feel like we've figured out a way to do that even when the other one isn't there. And it goes back to that telepathy thing.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And when you first started, Nick, you were in retail, and Amy, you were in hospitality, right?
Yeah, I was working for Starwood Hotels under both the Westin and the W Hotel design team. And it was really what the coolest thing about that was, at the time, the CEO was just a huge fan of bringing, it sounds novel in that time, it isn't anymore, but bringing design into hospitality a little bit more. So he plucked all of these incredible talents, many of whom had worked with Todd at Polo.
Oh, wow.
So there was just this slew of really kind of heavy hitter, to me, mentors in design that were leading these teams. I mean, some of the design wasn't necessarily super exciting, but it was about the people.
Well, that was a big era. I mean, the era of W.
Yeah. It was a fast track to a certain kind of training in design that, had I stayed in it, or Todd and I really carved that out. It was an incredible group of people to be around. And at that time, even though, I knew, I was like, oh my gosh, I'll never know what my own, inspiration is if I'm always designing for a brand that's so specific like that. So it gives you good tools, really strong tools, and a great resource of people.
That makes sense. I feel like you got a really good foundation in hospitality design on scale, and in terms of how to do things at large scale. And that's helpful when you go out on your own and have to deal with so much logistics that you haven't been dealing with on the back end. When you start out on your own, I feel like coming from corporate, there's so much more that you weren't touching before. So you guys moved to Los Angeles. You launched the firm in 2004 and the retail shop in 2008. How did that sort of evolve from beginning and then deciding to open up retail?
We talked about, even before I moved to LA a year after Amy did, but we had met probably 6 months into Amy living there. I had come out for a visit, and I had some clients in New York that also had a place in LA. And it just seemed like this would be an opportunity for me to move there. And I'd always been kind of curious about LA. And Amy and I were at dinner one night, and we were like, okay, we're going to figure out how to do this somehow. And Amy at the time at W Hotels. And then soon after I moved there, the W group was moving back to New York. The design part of it was moving back to New York. And she was like, there's no way I'm going to go back. I'll never come back to LA if that happens. And so we both jumped in with both feet and started working together. And
wow.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing. I mean, we were working out of our houses at the time, and then soon after got a small studio. I mean, and I think a part of our big Venn diagram when we first met was, and we've talked about this several times, but there was this amazing store in Williamsburg called Moon River Chattel. And we were both so obsessed with this store, and an edited store for beautiful homewares and almost like a hardware store in a way, but just something that was really kind of refined and had a lot of character and nuance. And we started talking about, having retail early on. But didn't really set our eyes on it when we were first starting out. But a few years in, we were just sort of like, well, it seems like it might be time. And we did a trip to France and bought a very, very small amount of antiques and, kind of opened the store with some things that we had found along the way and just kind of built it from there. And we would, when we opened in 2008, which was not a great time to open.
I was going to say, that must have been really tricky.
Yeah, it was a little tricky. But we would literally, if we would sell enough that week, we would go to the flea market and buy more and bring it back to the shop and sell it. And it was so like grassroots and organic.
Yeah.
It was a really kind of sweet, innocent way to build a business.
Wow.
We had the design studio to support that. So we were doing projects and, we didn't have to be solely reliant on the retail part of the business. It gave us a freedom,
Which is kind of nice. Yeah. It gives you.
It was.
And it allows you to enjoy it a little bit more because there's there's always pressure, but to have both, they balance each other out.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing. And also, they're the two most iconic stores in the country. They're so beautiful and special, and they're almost like otherworld. Like you're transported into what feels like a home. They're so special, those stores. Are there any good stories from the early days of when you launched?
It's funny when we talk about it and I'm just listening to Todd answer and I'm like, Todd, had you told either one of us it was going to be what it is now?
Oh my God.
I just think we would have fainted.
But isn't that the most amazing thing? Had your job not moved back to New York, it's just always so crazy to me to think about like the ways that life propels people into their directions.
Totally. Those sliding door moments. Yeah.
I always laugh. There's this one podcast I listen to and they interview actors and they always want to hear about what went wrong on stage. So I'm like, ooh, I really want to give her something. Like,
right.
What was a ridiculous, and there are so many.
There are so many. One really funny one, if I can, the shed.
Yes, I was going to bring up the shed too.
So when we took the space for the shop, the first shop that we opened, part of it was we were going to get office space above the shop. It was this big sort of buttress building, and the guy who owned it, somebody was sort of subletting this little part, and the sublet was going to be up a few months after we moved in. So, we signed the lease, whatever, we're renovating, yada, yada, yada. And this portion of it came with this shed that was in the parking lot. And by shed, it was probably like a 15 by 15, maybe 20 by 20 foot metal shed that was
my God, like a garden shed.
And we were like, this is great for storage and whatever, like this will be perfect. So, of course, during the course of this early part of the lease, the whole financial world slid off a cliff.
Oh my God.
And the people who were subletting everybody had moved out except for us. And he found someone to move in, but it was contingent on them taking the office space that had been promised to us. So he had to give them that space. So suddenly we were like, well, I guess our office is in the shed. So literally the design studio was in the shed for the first 4 years that we were in.
Oh my God. That's so wild.
We couldn't take phone calls when it was raining, which of course.
I know, I was going to say, how did you even get like computers in there?
No, it was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
When you think back on stories like that, like my first office was literally in my apartment, and my daughter was like 4 months old, and Karan, who used to work with me, who has since gone off and started her own amazing housewares company, used to like bounce her in the Bjorn. Like we were like making do with what we had. When you think back and you're like, oh my God, how did we work like that? Like,
yeah.
It's so crazy. Well, now, it's like 20 plus years later, you must think back and be like, the growth has just been exponential. Is there a particular lesson that you guys learned along the way that you find has stuck with you over the years?
There are so many lessons. I think the one that isn't super specific, but it's, I would say, resounding over and over again is knowing how to take measured risk. That has been something Todd and I have both constantly relied on in terms of a lesson, just sort of how much risk, when, trusting your gut, not being irresponsible, all of those things. It feels like the one resounding lesson. And, also there are hard things. There are really hard things. And it can involve logistics, it can involve people, it can involve any part of it. And just stepping into that when you need to be, but always with humanity, even in those really tricky, difficult moments.
Yeah, I mean, especially because you have two separate parts of the business. Also, I would imagine compartmentalizing really is probably a key piece of, managing between the design work and the shop and also just you two together. It's such a cool business model that you guys have. How do you think you guys have seen your design evolve over the years?
As we've grown over the years, for the last maybe 5, even 7 years, we've seen this growth in the shop and in the product development and all of that, and kind of knew at a certain point one of us was really going to have to kind of stop doing the interior design part and focus on that. And so I had been doing interior design for a really long time, and probably maybe 10 years before Amy and I met. So I was very, on some level, very willingly, I'll jump from that and go into product.
Yeah.
And I've always I don't know, I love the shop. I love merchandising. I worked in retail design before I started doing this. And it just sort of organically happened. And, I would say that's probably one of the biggest shifts in the last couple of years is, I've really kind of hung up my hat doing interior design and moved more into this. And, it's tricky. I miss the interiors. Amy's still involved in the shop, but not quite as heavily as before. So, I think we're both a little, I don't know, I think we kind of miss each other.
Oh, that's so sweet.
No, but it's true. Like, it's really, it's there, and we're still, our desks aren't next to each other anymore, which they always were. And,
yeah,
it's a little tricky.
Oh, that's so special, though. I mean, to have a friendship like that for as long as you guys have while being business partners, like that is so rare and special. How do you find that you guys keep your friendship strong while working together?
I mean, we do a couple of trips together every year. So that's really, really helpful.
It's like an offsite retreat.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, we're doing one this summer. We're going to Copenhagen in Sweden.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me. That's so exciting.
Yeah. We play pickleball together.
Oh my God, I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit about working in design. And this can be for both of you or one of you, depending on who wants to answer. But what is your favorite thing about working within the industry?
For me, I think it's just the exposure. I mean, it's just a never-ending love story to collect and, fall in love with objects and spaces. Can often be, as all of us know, years of painstaking frustrations. And,
yes.
There's such a cherry on top moment, and you remember why you do it when you are at your photo shoot or install day. But I do think it's just like an undying passion and love for all the beauty in the world. And, it can be a bottle opener. It can be the most beautiful light fixture. I think it's just always a thrill, that search. And I think that applies, obviously to how we curate the shop. I think they're the same exact thing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you can see in the shops the range of what you guys carry and just the amazing sort of like curios that you have in there. It's all collected with love, and it comes through when you're walking through the shops for sure. I love asking this question because the answers are just so varied. What design rule do you always follow, and which do you think are made to be broken?
I think when I was just beginning and sort of in design classes, like you were kind of taught is that it starts with this space planning and how does it, there are rules and sort of philosophical things that I think never change. Like, I don't think either of us ever ignore where a project is. Like, that's just where you have to stand, where the restaurant or the home or our store, like where are they physically? And,
Yeah.
are you connecting to what's around you? Are you nodding? Are you ignoring? But I think some of those early principles of good design that was guiding the sort of traditional decorators. I remember in my early 20s, Todd knows the story, someone gifted me Rose Tarlow's book. And I think I could probably afford like 3 books a year at the time. And it was like, I just read that over and over again. And I'm grateful for having entered a design in the period that I did, because it was straddling old school and First Dibs was just starting. And, you still mounted things on foam core for presentation.
Right.
And like Todd and I pulled from magazines and like archived them in the plastic sleeves. I mean, it's grateful for that, because it is, whether sometimes I doubt myself or not, I know that, we do have the references because that was the era that we were brought up in. So I know I'm not really speaking to rules, but I think I am,
I think the tactile piece of it, like you're saying, with like the references and going back and having a library and a sort approaching each project with a sense of not only where it is in a sense of place, but also the history that comes before it. Those two things combined produce a project that ends up being more personal than if you were to just kind of go in blindly.
Yeah. Todd, do you feel like there's any rule that you're always...
Well, I mean, I don't think it's really a rule per se, but it is one of those. I think it's going back to just trusting your eye, even when something mathematically or programmatically is supposed to work. I just went through this in my own house. Like, I was rehanging a bunch of artwork, and they were measuring for everything and whatever. And, it was like, oh no, I swear this is straight. This is straight. And it's like, it is that kind of thing where you're like, yes, maybe it is level. Yes, the level is saying that it's level, but in the sum of everything going on, it is not level. Like, you have to tweak it. And I think that's such a metaphor for doing good design, is developing and honing an eye and trusting what that is, to be like, yeah, maybe it's supposed to be right, but this feels better.
It doesn't look right to me. Yeah,
exactly. But it feels, it's learning to trust that gut that is really sort of, I think that's where you start to develop a personal sense of style.
it's a really good piece of advice. And I think that's where, good design has a point of view. And I think that's where it comes from.
Right.
I love that. Looking back through your careers, have either of you had a mentor in your career? And how did they sort of shape your trajectory? I would imagine you two mentored each other, I feel like, too.
Yeah, thank you for answering. That is how I feel, I didn't have much, in terms of a runway before meeting Todd and working with him. So it was really brief.
Yeah.
But even in those brief years, there were, important people and lessons, like that group I explained at Starwood. But certainly I feel that I think it's more than just mentor, but like Todd's eye, being with him, sharing this. I don't even want to say we push each other. It's more just like, I might notice something, he might notice something. And I just feel that that's expanded everything, vocabulary, awareness. It's definitely been, I guess a mentor, but I think there's another word for it too.
Yeah, no, I feel exactly the same way. And, I had some really extraordinary people that I worked with at Ralph Lauren that I still look back and have such incredible respect for and admiration for it, and learned quite a bit from. And I would say they were mentors, but, it's the partnership of Amy and I that I think has pushed us to a place that's ours, you know?
Yeah.
And it is like, there is such, I think we both walk away with a different confidence because the other one has co-signed whatever the idea was, good, bad, or indifferent. But it's, you know, it is that, yeah, you're just solid as two. And we believe in it. So we're moving forward and we don't really look back.
It's really special.
It is. It is.
And rare. I mean, it's creative partnerships in general, I feel like are so rare to be so symbiotic like that, and to be as long as you guys have done it, it's such an accomplishment, and so such an incredible story, honestly.
It's not lost on me, and I won't put words in Todd's mouth, but it's like the fortune of this relationship is, I'm acutely aware of how rare it is. And it's something that, is protected.
Yeah. We like to get into a couple personal questions, but I'm curious if you guys would want to answer for each other, because I feel like it might be better that way. So what do you think your home says about you?
I think Todd's house reveals like an endless curiosity and a deep soulfulness about him. You walk through his house and you're like, oh my gosh. You just, even me, I go through and I discover, more and more. And, it helps that he's always rearranging like I am. Many projects, the work is never done.
It's a compulsion, honestly. I'm the same way. It's so crazy. I feel like we're all just born this way.
What is it? Like you finish something and 30 seconds goes by and you're like, well, I can't even just sit here with what I just finished that took I have to put my eye on something else.
Totally.
It's an illness.
Well, I mean, I would have to say almost exactly the same thing about Amy's house. It's like, every time I go there, there's like, I think of it in layers. Like the layers constantly evolve. Amy has such an amazing sense of color and adding depth to a space. And I remember going over once and like, you hadn't told me that you had told me you were thinking about doing this, but you hadn't told me that you actually did it. But I went over and her TV room was her dining room and her dining room was her TV room. And I was just sort of like, wait, how did this happen?
Oh my God.
I don't even think there were movers involved. I think Amy did it herself. And it was just like one of those, it was amazing. And it is just that, like, I think both of us, our homes are our laboratories. And it's just so fun to tinker and have an idea in the middle of the night and get up in the morning and move the furniture or change where the painting is so that you see it different, whatever. Like, I think it's helped us. Neither of us have a huge formal training and background in interior design. So I think it's really like that is the on the job training.
Yeah.
Where you can make your own mistakes and you can do all of those things in the safety of your own environment.
Totally.
And it's magical. And with Amy's, I feel like every time I go over, there's just like, there's another beautiful component and, a new idea has sparked and you're seeing the beginning of it. And then I go over, a few weeks later and I see the iteration of it. And it's such a soulful reveal. And I feel like I'm seeing into an artist's mind.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And it's so interesting hearing you guys talk about each other's style, because I feel like it melds, like all of the descriptions that you gave meld to really give us what people think of when they think of your firm and your shop. So it's so funny. I mean, you guys really are a blend of each other when it comes to the work that you do, which is very special. Where do you guys find inspiration?
I think travel is probably the biggest, and travel could be, a day trip. It doesn't mean you have to get on a plane, and that going to a historic home, going, of course, to a flea market or an estate sale, still finding a great book. I think my eyes are so tired. I'm so I'm so grateful for like Pinterest and First Dibs, but
I know. It's exhausting.
it's not where I get inspired because it's almost like we're all just too forced to be on our screen. So it's like anything to be out in the world is typically where it comes from for me.
I agree.
I mean, I think you hit on, Amy said something, historic houses and going back through any place you go, there are, historic references and just having a little bit of taste of that, a little access. I remember being like 12 years old and going to Colonial Williamsburg for the first time and just being completely blown away. Like I just wanted to like cook over an open fire, and there was something so deeply inspiring about that. And I still feel that way. I still feel like when I'm in some other era or you're taken somewhere, there are nuggets that you absorb and, you get to be a sponge and it shows up years later or whatever. It just almost feeds, a part of your brain that just automatically logs information and you can spit it out later.
Yeah, it imprints. It really does. I think
That's the word.
It does. It's so funny. Someone else was on, I think it was last season, and they said the same thing about visiting Williamsburg as a young kid and how it made a really big impact on them. And it's true, right? Like these spaces that we go to as kids, even though we don't even know at that point in time what we'll become, like, it stays with you forever. And that's why travel is just so important in general, to kind of get yourself out of your day to day and to experience the way other people live or lived.
Yeah.
It just expands even just the way you can think about design and how to set up a space.
Yeah, completely.
Well, in that vein, we have our Take 10, which we do at the end of every episode. We have some rapid fire questions. You guys can answer them for each other, or you could answer them as your own answer.
Sure.
Okay, so the first one is, what is your favorite food?
I can answer for Todd. He loves a shrimp cocktail.
Yes.
I love that. And I love how you both knew what you were going to say before you said it. Favorite drink?
Oh, well, I'm assuming maybe I shouldn't assume if it's alcoholic. I like a spicy margarita.
So good. Me too. Let's see. Favorite film?
I have one right. I think I've watched it probably 5 times in the last year, and I was a little late to the party. But The Phantom Thread.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it is a little slice of heaven.
Okay, I'm putting it on my list. I get so many good recommendations from doing this that I have like a running list now.
And what's your movie?
I just recently rewatched Hand of God, which now makes me think of you, Todd, because you've been to Naples, but it's just a beautiful, not coming of age story, just a story of this Italian youth. And it's a great narrative. And it's also shot so beautifully. Like Naples has that like beauty and seed. Yeah, there's like a seediness to it, plus beauty, plus a great story. It's really good. But, I mean, I also love a little Bridesmaids. It's the whole...
Oh, yeah.
The whole game.
Me too.
Yeah, Red and Legally Blonde are probably my...
Yeah.
Yeah. You need those in the repertoire. Otherwise, like, life is too much. We need Legally Blonde.
No, yeah, we can't only be highbrow.
Yes. Favorite hotel?
Well, I know we both really love the Hotel Mirande in Avignon, France. That's just epic.
Yeah, that's mine for sure. Though we're both headed to Etem in Stockholm. And I have a sneaky suspicion
that we might
make it to the list. Yeah.
That you might never come home. No, it's supposed to be incredible. I mean, everybody who has ever gone has immediately then said it's the best place they've ever been. Favorite city?
That's tough.
Oh, this is hard. It's like, I love, like we did Todd's one of his birthdays. I'm not going to name age, but we went for one of his birthdays, Oaxaca. I mean, Oaxaca was incredible. Mexico City, those stick out to me. And of course, I think it might sound a little jaded or snooty. I don't mean it to, but we get fortunately enough to go to Paris and London with some frequency. So those are just like, they're staples. They're almost like fixes that, we need at point. There's
Really,
so much to take in every time we go, and we just love it. But yeah, I mean, I also, many more cities on the bucket list for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yes. I mean, Florence is another one, but recently this is going to sound crazy, but it's been Tucson, Arizona.
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting. Arizona is so beautiful.
Yeah. Arizona is incredible, but there's something about Tucson that is really just pretty special.
Yeah.
Talk about thinking about the place and connecting it to the design. It's like such a unique area.
Yeah.
Favorite playlist or music to listen to?
I have, again, this goes back to Phantom Thread and Johnny Greenwood, who's the guitarist for Radiohead, is also a composer and did the soundtrack for the Phantom Thread.
Oh, cool.
So anyhow, there's a Johnny Greenwood playlist that has been in rotation for a while now that I'm just obsessed with.
What is your favorite weekend activity?
I'm going to jump in because we have had this favorite activity. Again, it's something we both share, but in addition to pickleball. But we were talking with Eugenia from Frederick because we'd been up in Connecticut going to all these little towns, and she told us that in Spanish, there's a name for that as an activity.
Oh my God.
And we were like, we knew it. We knew this wasn't just going around shopping.
Wait, that's so cute. What is it called?
It has the word, it's like Puebloita or like.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
We're going to have to follow up with her.
Yes, I'll ask her. Oh my God, that's so good.
We have called it towning.
In English, we call it towning.
I mean, this is what I make my husband do on the weekends. So now I feel like if I put a cute name to it, he'll be
there you go.
Less grumbly about having to drive to Pound Ridge. Okay, the last question that we ask, which I think is always the hardest, favorite design book.
The favorite's going to be hard, but I really feel like every time I open up Marie Agnelli's The Last Swan, it's kind of like I'm seeing it for the first time. I love that book.
Yep, that's a great book. I have that. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I think mine might have to be, I think it's Haute Bohemians by Miguel Florence Fiand.
Yeah. There's so much, I mean, we talk about this a lot on the show, but there's so much you can learn from all of these books. And when you really sit with them and you read them and you actually absorb the captions and like how much energy went into the copy and not just the photos, there is so much to take away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. The good old fashioned sitting down with a book and flipping through it too is.
Yes. And getting off your phone.
Yes.
Well, a final few words. This has been so much fun. What are you two working on right now? Is there any new stuff that you want to talk about?
I mean, it's just, I would say on the shop side talk could speak in more detail about product development. There's always exciting stuff happening in that category. Not to put pressure on you, Todd.
No. I mean, something that I think Amy and I are both really excited about is we're doing a lighting collaboration with Dumais.
Ooh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, we met Charlie a while back, Charlie Dumais, and it's, he is just this ever overflowing source of creativity and talent. And, we kind of can't believe we fell into this little beautiful bucket with him. And we have some really exciting things that are coming out. I think it'll launch in the fall. I think we'll be ready for it early October.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. I can't wait to see it. Well, this is the last question we always ask everyone who comes on. What advice do you have to someone looking to define their own interior style?
Gosh, I think this might sound very obvious, but it goes a lot to what Todd was saying about refining your own eye and just,
Yeah.
I think our world is so accessible that it is like kind of going offline to really understand, going to antique shops, understanding pedigree or where things come from. It's just too easy to copy and paste, and I don't say that in a critical way. It's a problem I think we all face. It's like everything is so easy to find. And I think, training yourself to go offline and do everything we've talked about on this podcast today would be my tip.
I love that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Travel, and take lots of pretty pictures. But what's funny too is in that, and I'm always catching myself doing this, is you go somewhere and you just take a million pictures and you kind of forget to be there. You're so busy trying to get the perfect picture of something that you're not absorbing what you're.
I talk about that with my husband a lot with my kids. I feel like we're constantly trying to, we want to get the picture so that we have it for our memories, but also like you're not fully present in the moment.
You're not creating.
Yeah, you're not fully present in the moment when you're doing that. It's tricky.
Yeah.
Well, Todd and Amy, thank you so much for coming on. This was such a delight, and I feel like I learned so much.
Well, we really enjoyed it. It was very fun talking with you and appreciate you asking us.
Oh, of course. Oh my God. I am like long time fans of yours, so I'm really jazzed that you wanted to come on.
Oh my God, this was really fun. Really easy. Fun.
That's a wrap for this week's episode of Talk Shop. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with more thoughtful discussions and amazing guests. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. And of course, follow me at Ariel Okin. See you next week.